Bruchim Abayim, welcome everyone. We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Siman Kuf Nun Bet of the Halachot of Bet Knesset, and we started discussing the very beginning of Siman. When and when not can you destroy a Bet Knesset? Can you dismantle an operational Bet Knesset or Bet Midrash when knowing that you're planning to build a better one elsewhere or in the same place? And we mentioned that you cannot destroy a shul, even if you're intending to make a better one, a bigger one, in that place or in a different place, replacing the Bet Knesset, until you have already completed building the new one. Then you could destroy the old one. And we went through the discussions of Achronim, the Taz, the Magrav, the Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf HaChaim, of when and when not that can be done. But one great example of an exception is mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. So we're in the middle of Seif Aleph. This is Lamed Daled Amud Bet of the regular prince of Mishnah Berura. This is only talking about when the first Bet Knesset is a safe and sound structure of a building that's not going to be falling through any second. But says the Shulchan Aruch, if there are fundamental problems with it, the foundation is falling through, this roof is coming down, it's old and it's not safe to be an operational shul, and it needs to be revamped, it needs to be renovated or rebuilt, says the Shulchan Aruch in that case, so immediately you have to plan for destroying it if the foundation cannot hold, if the beams are dangerous. You have to right away plan for revamping and rebuilding the shul. And you immediately start building around the clock, like literally night and day you build until it is back up. Because we realize anything good that you want to do, you wait one moment, and Yitzhara has his ways of cooling down the situation, and you never get it done. When David HaMelech, at the end of his life, was notified by Natan HaNavi and by Bathsheba that Adoniyahu, one of his sons, was trying to steal the kingship from Shlomo HaMelech, and Shlomo HaMelech was promised by Hashem, there's a pasuk in Tanakh, and that he's going to be the next king, and David HaMelech had sworn that he's going to appoint him as the next king, and yet he says, I take a shvuah, I took an oath, that today I'm going to do this, today. And Chazal, why you have to do today? And he says, because from here, where he wanted to anoint and nominate Shlomo HaMelech that same day, was a few miles away. And say Chazal, from here until then, how many mekatragim, how many malachim are going to be trying to stop this good thing that you want to do? So he had to push himself an extra, even though that there's a nevuah that's going to happen. When you want to do a good thing, you got to be on top of it to do it right away. So even if you have to destroy the Bet Knesset, you start building immediately, and you build night and day until you finish building the Bet Knesset. Because maybe, who knows, maybe something is going to come up, a war is going to break, and then things are going to be left hanging, and the Bet Knesset will be staying desolate and not going to be built. Says the Ramah, and it's asur to take stones and bricks from the old Bet Knesset kedei livnot chadasha, to build the new one. You can't do that. Ve'asur listor davar mi Bet Knesset ela im ken oseh al menat livnot, and you cannot destroy any part of the Bet Knesset, even partially, unless you want to build in its stead. So what does that mean exactly? So we mentioned that if the foundation of the shul is coming down, it's not safe, that you could destroy it and rebuild right away. Says the Chafetz Chaim, same is when the Malchut says, do not daven in this Bet Knesset, when the government has made a decree that you can no longer daven in this Bet Knesset. For instance, it used to be that they could seize properties And they would say, this is it. We're taking this, we're making it a park. So then what are you going to do? You're going to stay there and do what? It's not going to stand. You can't bribe anyone. You can't do any of those things. You can't do it. If you can't make it advocacy and so on to stay there, then, says the Mishna Berura, you right away start building somewhere else. If you need to destroy this because the government said it's not safe or it's not beautiful or it's not fitting the city zoning and so on and so forth, then you do what you need to do. The Taz writes that there was a story in a city that the Jews were living outside the boundaries, the walls of the city, the town. And then little by little people became more stable and they bought properties inside town, and one by one the Jewish community, they established themselves inside, and the only thing that was left outside was the shul, right? So then what do? There is nothing more strange than this. And I allowed them to destroy that Bet Knesset in order to build inside the city in a better place. And what they should do is pour foundation of the new one, then you could destroy the old one, use its material to build the new Bet Knesset inside the Choma. Now, the Ramah says you cannot take stones and beams from the old one in order to build the new one. So it says, the Mishnah Berura, don't make a mistake. This is a new thing. He's not talking about the shul that its foundations are going bad. He's talking about the shul that is healthy, standing up strong and well. The old Bet Knesset is good, it's strong and sturdy, and says the Mishnah Berura, you started already the building of the new shul, and now you're missing some beams, you're missing some stones, you're missing some bricks. You want to destroy the old one to build a new one. Even though that you're destroying the first one in order to directly build the new one, still asur. Until the moment that the new one is ready for operation, and you put the frames up, so to speak, like everything, the electric is going, the air, everything is ready for. Until then, you cannot destroy any part of the old one and make it not operationable, if that's a word, operational. You can't do that until the second one is completely ready. Even if you have other shuls in town, still, as we mentioned, from Kaf Chaim and others, still will be asur. Now, this that he ends up saying, the Ramah, ve'asur listor davar mi bet knesset ela ken oseh al menat livnot, that you cannot destroy any part of the Bet Knesset unless you're doing it al menat livnot, in order to build. It's like you're knocking off a part of a Echal by destroying the Bet Knesset. And it's asur because it says in Dvarim, ve'et mizbechotam titosun, you destroy the mizbechot, the altars of the goyim, of the Ovdei Avodah Zarah, and it says, Lo ta'asun ken la'Hashem Elokechem. Don't do this to Hashem. That means no part of the Beit HaMikdash, of the Bet Knesset, could be destroyed just so. Right? Now this becomes a whole question, by the way, of people who go to Kotel HaMa'aravi, and especially the sides of it and so on, which is not visited as much. Can you take a little piece of stone, say, segula, taking it for home? Of course, that's asur, right? That's part and parcel of this halakha. and it's even more chamur in many ways outside the realm of this shiur right now. But nevertheless, ulshaber k'nei kodesh or la'akor davar mechubar, to break k'nei kodesh, to break things of holiness, or to uproot davar mechubar, to uproot something that's connected. Kigon even mi mizbeach, like a stone from mizbeach or a stone from the kotel. All of that is going to be asur. Le'afuke lefanot hakeli kodesh ve'asafsalin v'chadomim v'knesset. Of course, things that are not mechubar, like the tables and chairs and benches and bookshelves, those things that are not attached, you could, of course, remove. You want to clean up, you want to renovate, all those is fine. Even though that if you empty a bet knesset from its benches and tables and chairs, is not kavod, but that's not included in this isur. So it's interesting to note that the Kaf HaChaim writes that even a bet knesset of large cities, of the krachim, if the foundation is going bad and the beams are not sturdy, there's structural problems with the shul, or the roof is coming down, all those things, it's mutar to destroy them in order to build new. Even though that there's a larger city and people need the shul very much, still it will be mutar if it's actually not safe and it's getting destroyed. Now, if you it's difficult to daven in a shul because there's no heating system, there's no cooling system. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's freezing, or it's boiling. So what do you do? So it's not comfortable for people to daven there, and therefore, Kaf HaChaim writes that this is also considered a bet knesset that its foundation is problematic, because when people are not comfortable coming in because it's freezing. They're not going to come in because it's boiling. It's on the top floor. The heat of imagine if you're in the East Coast and high up, and it becomes 100 degrees outside. Inside will be always 20 degrees higher. So nobody's going to want to come inside, and therefore it's mutar to nowadays you have air conditioning, so it's different. Back in the day, you had to maybe destroy and restructure the top of the shul as a dome or as windows that are allowing for draft in air. You would have like a architectural design for that to happen. That says the Kaf HaChaim, it's mutar to do in order to let that come through. Now, the Shulchan Aruch says you start it right away and you build night and day in order to allow a proper and efficient system. So there are those who write that even if you have a law in the country that you cannot work at night, right? And still, you don't have to stop, destroying the Bet Knesset. You could still destroy it and build only during the day. If there's a law prohibiting it, so then there's a law prohibiting it. What do you got to do? So that would be still mutar. Now, the Chesed Alafim writes, this is the author, Reb Eliezer Papo, the author of Pelei Yoetz. He was a tremendous gaon v'tzadik in Turkey. His kever is still there in Turkey. Tremendous person. Very kedai to learn his sefer Musar, Pelei Yoetz, Dvarim Kedoshim. Also, he was a tremendous posek. He has a Shelot Utshuvot Pelei Yoetz. He has a sefer called Chesed Alafim and Shulchan Aruch, Arachaim and Yoreh De'ah. He also has a sefer on Shas, Orot Elim, others. So he writes in his sefer Shulchan Aruch Arachaim in Chesed Alafim that the outside wall of the Beit Knesset, right? You say, well, inside we're keeping the interior. We're just destroying the walls outside the Beit Knesset. That also is included in this, says the Chesed Alafim, and the Ben Ish Chai is pretty clear that he holds like that as well. Generally speaking, Ben Ish Chai follows a lot of the psakim of Chesed Alafim from Rabbi Eliezer Papo, and here's one of those as well. He paskins like that. The Kaf HaChaim also conquers that it would be asur to do that. Now, what is the shiur of isur? Well, I want to take one brick off. That's already asur. What's the limit? Where do you draw the line? So The Or Chaim writes that as long as the destruction that you're making, the things that you're taking off, makes a roshem that is visible, makes a dent, so to speak, that's visible that you can see in the binyan, that's already considered part of the prohibition, part of the isur. Now, if you want to bang a nail inside the wall of the shul, right, even though that it takes something off, right? That's not, you want to hang a poster or a modim darabanan, something of that nature. If it's for the sorech of the shul, then for sure is mutar. If you're doing it for the beautifying the shul or for the need of the shul to have a bulletin board or whatnot, that's mutar. But if you're doing it because you want to put your own flyer for your own needs, and the shul just happens to be a public place that a lot of people pass by, then there are those who write that this is considered, even this small thing of banging a nail into the wall is considered part of the isur netisa bit knesset. You're not allowed to do that. It's a public domain of the bit knesset. You're not allowed to poke a hole in it and take some of it off because of your personal needs. So therefore, something to be careful with. Now, the Ben Ish Chai in his Sefer Rav Ba'alim brings that this isur of destroying the Bet Knesset, even the stones of the Bet Knesset, it's machloket if it's the Oraita or is it the Rabbanan. Kaf HaChaim says the same thing. He brings the machloket poskim whether or not this is a rabbinic prohibition or is it mamash a isur the Oraita of lo tahasun ken le'Hashem elokechem. Don't do this to Hashem. This destruction that I'm telling you due to Ovdei Avodah Zarah, that their mizbechot, their places of worship, you dismantle. Don't do that to Hashem. Is that the isur d'oraita, or is it the isur d'Rabbanan when you apply it to the Bet Knesset? And he writes that from the general notion of the way the Achronim, the Poskim, write about this, you see that the prohibition against destroying the Bet Knesset or Bet Midrash, it is not necessarily is going to be deoraita. It is mentioned on the isur of destroying it is said on when you're destroying the Bet Knesset in order to build a residential area on top of it. That's what destroying means. When you taking a little thing off to build another Bet Midrash or another Bet Knesset, that's not included in the Isur D'Oraita of Lo Ta'asu Ken LaHashem Elokechem. We, the Rabbanan, we put fences around it because we have our concerns that you're going to destroy this and you're not going to ever build a Bet Knesset afterwards and so on. It's going to be stopped. It's not going to happen. That's why we have rabbinic additions to it. But Midoraita level from Torah, the Isur is only when you want to destroy this and you're not planning to build anything of a shul afterwards. You just want to turn this to an apartment building afterwards. That's when it becomes a problem. So that's the Ben Ish Chai in Rav Ba'alim. One more piece over here. Says the Mishnah Berura. By the way, we said it's asur to break any of the pieces of the attached pieces. So, for instance, an Aron Kodesh. What do you do if the key to Aron Kodesh is lost? Only one key, and there's no key now. You can't open the Aron Kodesh. You need to take the Sefer Torah out, and there's no key. Can you break the door of Aron Kodesh? Is like I said, it's Tashmishek Ketusha. It's part of the shul, especially if it's attached, built in, right? You have to take the Sefer Torah out, and you need to read the Sefer Torah. There's no key, right? So you need to break the door, break the lock. Says Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, you could break the lock. It's not a problem. That's not because you're destroying the Bet Knesset. It is for sorach of reading the Torah. So you're breaking the lock, and you have to fix it afterwards. Of course, that is fine, right? Next piece in Mishnah Berura. Imken ose. So he said you can't destroy it unless you're doing it in order to build. So the Chafetz Chaim writes on that, the enzen etisai la binyan. That's not considered destroying. That's binyan. Sometimes you have to destroy something to be able to build right away afterwards, and that within the shul, if some small thing needs to be taken down in order to rebuild better and bigger, then within the Bet Knesset that would be fine. Now, says the Chafetz Chaim, ve'otan shemedabekin דף בכותל בית המדרש ועושים קומה בכותל שיוכל להחזיק שם על ידי עץ אותו דף. If you make a hole in the wall in order to have a wooden board up there in the shul, right? רבים האחרונים מקלים בזה. Many אחרונים, they are מקל. That you could do that for Sorech of Bet Knesset, as we said before. The Kaf Chaim also paskins like this, and he adds, he says that's the minhag. People do that for Sorech of the Shul. We're not talking about your own private information you're putting up there, and that's what Haravadia paskins as well. Now, it's noteworthy that the Ben Ish Chai is a little bit more machmir over here. He says you cannot make any holes, permanent holes in the walls of the Bet Knesset. That's got to be a problem, because it's not for tikkun of Bet Knesset. You want people to know about communal things, fine, but that's not a tikkun of the Bet Knesset itself. Even though that's not a private thing, it's a communal thing, still, you should stay away from it, says the Ben Ish Chai. So the bulletin board that is going to be like information of the Kahal and so on, that will become, if it's doing it inside the Bet Knesset, it will become machloket of Haravadia and Kaf Chaim versus the Ben Ish Chai. Okay, so says the Shulchan Aruch. We're going to next Siman now, starting Siman Kuf Nun Gimal. Says the Shulchan Aruch. This is actually a very interesting, very important Siman of all the laws of building a Bet Knesset. Is a longer Siman. Maybe it's Kedai. We will wait and we'll hold off over here. We start Bezat Hashem Siman Kuf Nun Gimel in the days to come. Chazak u'Baruch.